About special right triangles. We'll start off with 45, 45, 90 triangles. And the way this works is with 45, 45, 90, since those are equal angles there that are the same, then the sides across from them have to be equal. So this is x, x. And so those are the legs of the triangle. The hypotenuse, if it's 45, 45, 90, it's always going to be whatever the leg length is times the square root of 2. So x radical 2 for that. So when we're looking at solving these, they're really easy. So the legs are always going to be the same, and the hypotenuse is the leg times the square root of 2. So for this one, we know that, let's look at our examples here. We have a 45, 90, then we know this other angle would have to be 45 as well to get the 180 degrees that it always is. So we know that these two pieces are the legs. So if this side is 8, then that side has also to be 8. And then the hypotenuse is going to be 8 radical 2. No Pythagorean theorem needed. Just go from there. Okay. So for this one, they swap where x and y are. So y is going to be 25, and x is the hypotenuse, so that's going to be 25 radical 2. So for this one, they go a little bit differently here, and they give us the hypotenuse, and they want us to find the legs. So if the hypotenuse is 19, then that was x radical 2. So if we solve that with algebra here, we're going to divide by the square root of 2. And then we've got to rationalize the denominator. So we're going to multiply by square root of 2 over square root of 2. And that's going to give us 19 radical 2 over 2. And so that's going to be that's what x is equal to, which is also the same thing that y is equal to. So 19 radical 2 over 2, 19 radical 2 over 2 for those sides there. So rationalizing the denominator is what we had to do there. All right, next type of special right triangle is the 30, 60, 90. So you've got 3 different lengths here. We have a shorter leg, which we'll call x. It is across from the 30-degree angle. The 90-degree angle here is the hypotenuse, and it is always 2 times the shorter leg, so 2x. And then the longer leg is x radical 3. Okay, so the shorter leg is always x. The hypotenuse is 2 times that. The longer leg is x radical 3 out of that. So when we're looking at that, we need the shorter leg kind of decides everything there. So we can find x, we can find everything, or find the shorter leg, we can get the rest of it. All right, so example 4 here, we've got the 30-degree angle up here at the top, and 5 is the shorter leg. So we know y is the hypotenuse, so that would be 2 times 5, which is 10. And then the longer leg is always going to be short leg times radical 3. So 5 radical 3 out of that. So easy thing. Number 5, they give us the 30-degree angle here, and the side across from it is 14. So that's the shorter leg. And then the hypotenuse is x, so that's 2 times 14, which is 28. And then the longer leg is going to be 14 times radical 3, which is just 14 radical 3. Okay. Example 6, they give us the 30-degree angle here, and we don't know the shorter leg, and we don't know the longer leg, but we do know the hypotenuse. And we know that the hypotenuse, 32, is equal to 2 times the shorter leg, and it's x in this case. So we're going to divide by 2, and 32 divided by 2 would be 16, is the shorter leg, 16 there. And then the longer leg is going to be 16 radical 3. Now that. Okay. And then let's go to example 7. Here, the shorter leg is y, the hypotenuse is uh, 46, and x is the longer leg. So we're going to find the shorter leg, which is y. So that'd be 46 is equal to 2y divided by 2, and y is 23. And then we use that to get the longer leg, 23 radical 3. Go to number 8, a little tougher problem here because we have the longer leg. We want to find the hypotenuse and the short leg. So we have y radical 3 is equal to 20. So we're going to divide by radical 3. And so we have 20 over radical 3. And we need to rationalize that. 20 radical 3 over 3. And that's going to be y. The x here is 2 times that. So 2 times 20 radical 3 over 3 is going to be 40 radical 3 over 3. So there's our hypotenuse there. Okay. Number 9, we have the longer leg here, which is 9 radical 3. Hey, that's nice. They've already got it in the radical form. So that means x has got to be 9, and the hypotenuse is 2 times 9, which is 18. We get some nice, easy stuff there. Let's look at a few more here and see what we can come up with here. So let's mix it all together. We'll have 45, 45, 90s, and 30, 60, 90s all mixed in with this. So number 10, we got an angle here that's 45, so we know that other angle's got to be 45 to go with this 90 to be 180. And we know that the legs are going to be equal to each other. So whatever we find for x, we're going to find the same thing for y. And we know that the hypotenuse is the leg length times the radical 2. So we're going to divide by radical 2. And here we have to do that rationalizing thing again. So we're multiplying by radical 2 over radical 2. That's going to be 28 radical 2 over 2. And then we could simplify that. So that's 14 radical 2. 14 radical 2. Same. Okay. Number 11, we have a 30, 60, 90 triangle. We have the hypotenuse, which is twice the shorter side. So half of 16 is 8. And then 8 radical 3 for x. 45, 45, 90. So we know the legs are the same. And the hypotenuse is leg times radical 2. 13. You have the short side because it's across from the 30. So we know the hypotenuse is twice that. And the longer leg is short side times radical 3. All right, on 14, we got a 30, 60, 90. We have the long side, but it has the radical 3 on there. So we know that the short side is going to be 15. The long side is 30, or the hypotenuse is 30. Out of that. Number 15, we've got 45, 45, 90. We know that the rules are the legs are the same and the hypotenuse is leg times radical 2. So 9 must be the leg. Number 16, 30, 60, 90. We have the long leg on this one. So we're going to set up y radical 3 is equal to 6. We're going to divide by radical 3. We've got to do that rationalizing thing again. So 6 over radical 3 times radical 3 over radical 3. 6 radical 3 over 3, which reduces to be 2 radical 3. And then the hypotenuse is twice that, which would be 4 radical 3. And then number 17 here, we got a 45, 45, 90. We know that the legs are the same, so if we solve for x, we get y for free. So we're going to set up x radical 2 is equal to radical 10. And we would divide by radical 2. And it gets us, since they're both in square roots, you can do the division there. 10 divided by 2 is 5. That's radical 5. Okay. Number 18, got a 30, 60, 90. We know the hypotenuse is twice the shorter leg, so half of 38 divided by 2, 19. The short leg is 19. The long leg is 19 radical 3. All right, let's throw in a mixture of things going on here. So for this one, we've got a 30, 60, 90 up top, and then down here we got a 45, 45, 90. So we look to see which one of those we have a side length on, and it's the 30, 60, 90 that we have. We have the short side of the 30, 60, 90. So we can find the hypotenuse of that by just doubling 9 to get 18. And then the long leg here, which is not one that we have to find, but it's something we need, 9 radical 3. And that ends up being the hypotenuse to the 45, 45, 90. So we know that the 45, 45, 90 is leg length times radical 2 to get there. So it's x radical 2 equals 9 radical 3. So we got to do a little bit of interesting math here. It's going to be 9 radical 3 over radical 2. So we got to rationalize that. So when we rationalize, we multiply by radical 2. Radical 2. 3 times 2 is 6. That's 9 radical 6 over 2. And x and y should be the same. Okay. Number 20, again, we have a 45, 45, 90. And we know that if we have the leg of a 45, 45, 90, they are the same. So we know that this side should be 32, which is the hypotenuse of this 30, 60, 90. So the short leg of that is z, which is half of the hypotenuse. Half of 32 would be 16. And we know that y is short side times radical 3, so 16 radical 3. And then hypotenuse of a 45, 45, 90 is leg times square root of 2, so 32 radical 2. And we're done. 21, same idea. We got a 45, 45, 90. We got a 30, 60, 90. We have the hypotenuse of the 30, 60, 90. So we know that the short leg, which is x in this case, is half of that. So that's 6. And we know that the long leg is 6 radical 3. That gives us the y, the other leg. And then z is the hypotenuse. So we know the hypotenuse should be leg 6 radical 3 times radical 2, which would be 6 radical 6. All right. 22, we have a 30, 60, 90 on the left and a 30, 60, 90 on the right. So two of those